Someone's reading you right now, not just watching, reading. Every gesture, every word, every nervous laugh. They're collecting data on your weaknesses. And the worst part? You're handing it to them. Right now, people are asking, why do I feel exposed in public? What am I doing that makes me an easy target? How do manipulators spot their victims so quickly? And in this video, you'll discover the one mistake that turns you into an open book, and the 5 Machiavellian methods to become unreadable. Here's the situation. Every time you step into public, you're broadcasting signals. Most people can't help it. Their insecurities leak through their body language like blood in water. And the sharks? They smell it instantly. If you ignore this, you'll keep being prey. But stick around, and you'll learn how to become the predator they avoid. This knowledge comes with a cost. Once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. That's why most people shouldn't watch this. You'll notice who's hunting and who's being hunted. You'll see the invisible power games happening in every coffee shop, every office, every social gathering. Most people aren't psychologically equipped for this level of truth. But you're still watching. That tells me something. You're ready to cross a line most people never approach. Someone used this on you last week. You felt it but didn't understand it. That moment when someone made you feel small. When they got under your skin. When you found yourself explaining, defending, justifying. They were using what I'm about to reveal. But first, you need to understand why this matters. Think about the last time you felt judged in public. Your body betrayed you before your mind even processed what happened. Your shoulders tensed. Maybe you laughed too quickly, adjusted your clothes, started explaining yourself. Every movement screamed one thing: I need you to approve of me. That was the moment you became prey. Method 1. The fatal display watch. What happens when someone feels exposed? The average person immediately starts bleeding information. They over-explain. They justify. They try to control the narrative. But here's what Machiavelli discovered that religious institutions don't want you to know. The moment you show you care what others think, you hand them a weapon. Not a metaphorical weapon. A real tool of control. Think about yesterday. Someone made a comment, maybe about your work, your appearance, your choices, and you felt that need to defend yourself, to explain, to make them understand. Remember that feeling? Your stomach dropped, your face got hot, words tumbled out before you could stop them. That was the fatal display, and someone was taking notes. Here's what most people don't realize. Explaining is bleeding. Every word you use to justify yourself reveals another pressure point, another weakness, another way to control you. While they're explaining themselves, you're already 3 moves ahead. Because you understand what they don't. Reactions are confessions. But there's something darker. The real predators, they're not looking for your mistakes. They're looking for your reactions to mistakes. Drop something in public. Say the wrong word. Stumble slightly. Normal things, human things. But watch how you respond. That's where the real information lives. Do you immediately look around to see who noticed? Do you laugh nervously? Do you make a self-deprecating joke? Do you turn red? Do you over-apologize? Every reaction is data. Every response is intelligence they'll use against you. I'm about to show you something that will change how you see every conversation for the rest of your life. But first, watch what happens when the masked pleaser shows their hand. You know this person. Maybe you are this person. They smile too quickly, agree too readily. Their whole body screams, "Please like me." They think they're being nice. They're actually being hunted. Because predators don't look for the mean ones. They look for the ones who need to be liked. Comment exposed if you just realized how many times you've done this today. The number might disturb you. Hold that thought, because what comes next changes everything. The first rule of becoming unreadable. Never explain your humanity. When you make a mistake, own it with silence. When someone judges you, let them. Their opinion is their problem, not yours. The moment you try to change their mind, you've already lost. They need to be liked. You need to be effective. I learned this the hard way. Years ago, someone criticized my work in a meeting. Publicly, brutally. My instinct was to defend myself, to list my accomplishments, to prove them wrong. But then I remembered Machiavelli's warning. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. So I did something different. I nodded. Once, slowly. Then I went silent. No defense. No explanation. No emotional reaction. Just acknowledgement without submission. Pause for 3 full seconds before answering questions. The room got uncomfortable. Not for me, for them. They expected a fight. They got a wall. This is where most people stop watching. They're not ready to become this. That's when I learned the first principle of psychological immunity. Your reactions are your weakness. Control them, and you control the game. Lose them, and you lose everything. You're not becoming heartless. You're becoming strategic. Feel everything. Show nothing. Use what you must. Type wall if you're ready to stop explaining yourself to people who've already made up their minds about you. But here's where it gets dark. Method 2. The kindness trap. This is where most good people fail. They think kindness is a virtue, but Machiavelli knew better. He wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved." But he wasn't talking about being cruel. He was exposing something more sinister, how predators use your kindness against you. Watch how this works. Someone approaches you in public. They need help, directions, a favor, small things, harmless things. But notice what happens next. They watch how quickly you respond, how eager you are to help, how much you smile, how apologetic you are if you can't help immediately. They're not really asking for directions. They're testing your boundaries. Most people never discover this because if you drop everything to help, if you over-explain, if you apologize for existing, congratulations, you just failed the test. You've shown them you're someone who can be pushed, someone who prioritizes others' comfort over your own, someone who can be used. The loyalty vampire has found their next meal. The kindness trap has 3 stages. First, they test your availability. Can they interrupt you? Will you stop what you're doing? How quickly do you respond to their needs? Second, they test your boundaries. Will you go out of your way? Will you inconvenience yourself? How far can they push? Third, they test your consistency. Will you always be this available? Can they count on your weakness? You've done this without realizing. Here's what's really happening. When you're too kind, too quickly, too consistently, you're not being good. You're being weak. And weakness isn't kind. It's dangerous. It attracts users, manipulators, and emotional vampires who will drain you until there's nothing left. They want you to feel. That's how they control you. But there's something even darker most people miss. The truly dangerous ones, they don't start by asking for big things. They start small. A minute of your time, a tiny favor, a small exception. They're not testing what you'll give. They're testing what you'll tolerate. After this next tactic, you won't be able to pretend anymore. Comment. If someone just popped into your mind, someone who started small and gradually took more. Strategic kindness is different. It has boundaries. It has limits. It has power. When someone asks for help, pause. 3 full seconds. Let them feel the weight of their request. Then decide, not from guilt or pressure, but from choice. Your kindness should feel like a gift, not an obligation. Kindness without boundaries is just another word for prey. I once watched a master manipulator work a room. She wasn't the most attractive or charismatic, but she had something more powerful: selective kindness. She helped some people immediately. Others, she politely declined. No pattern anyone could detect. No rules anyone could follow. What I'm about to tell you might make you angry. The result? Everyone worked for her attention. Her kindness became currency. Valuable because it was rare. Powerful because it was unpredictable. She wasn't mean. She wasn't cruel. She was strategic. And that made her untouchable. Make your validation so rare it becomes addictive. The second principle, kindness without boundaries, is just another word for prey. Make your kindness expensive. Make it rare. Make it something people earn, not something they expect. Watch how quickly the users disappear and the real people remain. You're not broken. You were surviving. Power isn't evil. Powerlessness is dangerous. Type selective if you're done being everyone's emotional ATM. But first, you need to understand why this feels so hard. Why every instinct tells you to be nice, to be helpful, to be available. That programming runs deep, and someone benefits from it. The question is, who? The real question isn't why, it's who benefits. Method 3. The tell of need. Now we enter darker territory. This is where Jung meets Machiavelli, where psychology becomes warfare, where you learn to spot the most dangerous tell of all, the display of need. Need is a scent, and predators can smell it from across a room. Not physical need, not hunger or thirst, emotional need. The need to be liked, the need to be understood, the need to be validated, the need to belong. Every time you display these needs in public, you might as well wear a sign that says, "I'm available for manipulation." This is why that conversation felt off. Watch how it manifests. Someone tells a joke and you laugh too hard. Someone shares an opinion and you agree too quickly. Someone shows interest and you reveal too much. Someone pulls away and you chase. These aren't just behaviors, they're broadcasts. Signals that tell every predator in the room exactly how to control you. Jung called it the shadow, the parts of yourself you hide. But here's what most people don't understand. When you try to hide your shadow, it leaks out in other ways. The more you suppress your need for validation, the more desperately you seek it. The more you deny your hunger for approval, the more obviously you chase it. Once you practice this for a week, your old personality dies. The tell of need has 5 forms. Recognition need, constantly mentioning your achievements. Approval need, changing your opinion based on the room. Connection need, oversharing to create false intimacy. Control need, explaining and justifying every decision. Safety need, avoiding conflict at any cost. Master manipulators can spot these tells in seconds. Remember this feeling. You'll need it for method 4. But here's the terrifying part. Once they spot your need, they become your dealer. They give you just enough validation to keep you hooked, just enough approval to keep you coming back, just enough connection to keep you dependent. They control the supply, and you become the addict. This is validation starvation in action. I once knew someone who could walk into any room and identify the most powerful person within minutes, not by their position or wealth, by their lack of need. While everyone else was performing, seeking, chasing, the truly powerful were simply being. They needed nothing from the room, and because they needed nothing, everyone needed them. The moment you detach emotionally, you become dangerous. Comment dealer if you just realized who's been controlling your emotional supply. The third principle, need nothing from public spaces except what you came for. Enter with intention, not hunger. Speak when you have something to say, not when you need to be heard. Connect when you choose to, not when you need to. The moment you need something from others, they own you. They called you difficult because you stopped being convenient. Here's how you break free. Practice psychological fasting. Go to public spaces and need nothing. Don't seek eye contact. Don't wait for acknowledgement. Don't fish for compliments. Don't explain yourself. Don't justify your presence. Just exist. Watch how uncomfortable this makes others. Watch how they start needing things from you instead. Now that you know this, watch what happens tomorrow. Type fasting if you're ready to starve out the parasites who feed on your need. But this is just preparation, because the next method reveals how they've been watching you, how they've been reading your every move, how they know things about you that you don't even know about yourself. That's only half the story. Method 4. The body's betrayal. Your body is writing checks your mind doesn't know about. Every gesture, every posture, every micro movement is telling a story. And the predators? They're fluent in body language. They read you like a book written in nervous tics and unconscious habits. Machiavelli understood that the body never lies. It can't. It responds to threat, desire, fear, and anger before your conscious mind even knows what's happening. And those who understand this have power over those who don't. They're playing poker while you're showing your cards, while they're explaining themselves. You're already 3 moves ahead. This next part? Most people can't handle it. Here's what's happening in public spaces right now. When you cross your arms, you're not just getting comfortable, you're signaling defense. When you touch your neck, you're revealing vulnerability. When you lean away, you're showing discomfort. When your feet point toward the exit, you're announcing your desire to escape. Every movement is intelligence. Enter rooms 5 seconds after you arrive at the door. Let them wonder, but it goes deeper. Watch your hands when you're nervous. Do they find your phone? Your hair? Your face? Each touch is self-soothing behavior that screams anxiety. Watch your shoulders when someone important enters the room. Do they rise? Tense? Roll forward? Each adjustment reveals your emotional state. You think you're different. You're not. The body's betrayal happens in layers. First, there's posture. How you hold yourself reveals how you see yourself. Shoulders back or rounded, chin up or down, chest open or protected. Second, there's positioning. Where you stand in a room, who you face, what you protect. Third, there's rhythm. How quickly you move, how often you shift, how smooth or jerky your gestures. The discomfort you feel, that's your old self dying. Master readers combine all 3. They watch your baseline, how you are when comfortable. Then they watch for changes. When does your posture shift? When does your positioning change? When does your rhythm accelerate or freeze? These changes reveal more than any words ever could. Hold eye contact 2 beats longer than comfortable. Watch them break first. Comment if you're realizing how much you've been revealing without speaking. But here's the most dangerous part. The tells you can't see. Pupil dilation when you're interested. Micro-expressions that last fractions of seconds. Blood flow changes that alter your skin tone. Breathing patterns that reveal emotional states. These are the tells that expert predators read. The ones you can't control because you don't even know they exist. Fair warning, your relationships will change after this. The weak ones won't survive. I once watched a negotiator destroy someone using only body language observation. He noticed when they held their breath, when their pupils dilated, when their lips compressed for a microsecond. He knew what they wanted before they did. He knew their breaking point before they approached it. He won before the conversation even started. Lower your voice when others raise theirs. Become the calm in their storm. The 4th principle, assume you're always being read. Because you are. Every public space has someone who understands these tells, someone who's cataloging your weaknesses, someone who's building a profile of how to manipulate you. Your only defense is to become unreadable. Become the psychological void. Here's how you start. Practice the void state. Neutral face, relaxed shoulders, steady breathing, smooth movements, no nervous habits, no self-soothing, no protective postures. Become a blank canvas that gives nothing away. It feels unnatural because it is. That's why so few can do it. Let them see you notice something, then say nothing. Power lives in what you don't reveal. Type void if you're ready to become unreadable, even to those who think they know you. But mastering your body is just defense. The final method? That's where you become dangerous. That's where you flip the game. That's where the hunters become the hunted. You're not ready for the full truth yet, but Method 5. The strategic absence power isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most remembered when you're gone. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." But he left out the most important part. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can be is absent. I used to be like you. Then I chose power over comfort. Strategic absence is psychological warfare. It's not hiding. It's not running. It's the calculated removal of your presence at moments when it's most expected. When others depend on your patterns. When they've grown comfortable with your availability. When they think they know your moves. This is strategic ghosting at its most powerful. Watch what happens when someone expects you and you're not there. First, confusion. They check their assumptions. Did they get the time wrong, the place wrong? Second, concern. They wonder if something happened, if you're okay. Third, and this is where it gets interesting, insecurity. They wonder if they did something wrong, if you're avoiding them, if the dynamic has changed. You've just made them think about you more in your absence than they ever did in your presence. You've shifted the power without saying a word, without playing games, without manipulation, just by not being where you're expected to be. The empty throne holds more power than the occupied one. This works because of something Jung called projection, but I'll explain that after. But strategic absence goes deeper. It's about controlling the supply of your presence like a drug dealer controls their product. Too available, and you're worthless. Too absent, and you're forgotten. The key is unpredictability. Sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not. No pattern, no rules, no explanation. The masters of this understand something crucial. Presence is currency. Every appearance is a deposit. Every absence is a withdrawal. Most people spend their presence cheap. They're everywhere, always available, always accessible. Their presence becomes worthless through inflation. But when you make your presence rare, it becomes valuable. Withdrawal is not retreat. It's tactical repositioning. Comment ghost if there's someone who needs to feel your absence to appreciate your presence. Here's what really happens during strategic absence. In relationships, they stop taking you for granted. In work, they realize your value. In social circles, you become mysterious. In conflicts, you win without fighting. Because you can't lose a game you're not playing. You can't be manipulated if you're not there. They can't manipulate what isn't there. I learned this from watching a woman control an entire social circle without trying. She would appear at gatherings randomly, sometimes staying for hours, sometimes for minutes, sometimes not showing up at all. No explanations, no apologies, no patterns. The result? Everyone talked about her. Everyone wanted her attention. Everyone valued her presence because they couldn't count on it. End conversations mid-sentence. Actually, never mind. Leave them hungry for more. But here's the dark truth about strategic absence. It reveals who needs you versus who wants you. The ones who need you will panic. They'll chase. They'll demand explanations. They'll try to restore the old patterns. The ones who want you will respect the space. They'll be curious, but not desperate. They'll value your return without punishing your absence. Your absence should feel heavier than most people's presence. The fifth principle, be impossible to map. The moment someone thinks they understand your patterns, break them. The moment they count on your presence, disappear. The moment they adjust to your absence, return. But never explain. Explanations are for people who owe their presence. You owe nothing. Type untouchable if you're ready to practice this tomorrow. But warning, once you use it, there's no going back to being predictable. Now here's where Machiavelli's wisdom becomes a weapon. Because strategic absence isn't just about physical presence. It's about emotional absence, attention absence, validation absence, the removal of all the things others have become addicted to getting from you. Once you cross this line, the next tactic becomes obvious. Watch their faces when you don't react to their jokes, when you don't validate their opinions, when you don't fill the silence they create, when you don't play the role they've assigned you. That discomfort you see, that's withdrawal. That's them realizing they've been feeding off your energy, and now the supply is cut. If this scares you, good. Power should feel dangerous. That feeling in your chest right now, that's your old self dying. If you want to complete this transformation, subscribe now, because next week, I'm revealing the tactic that makes this one look kind. Who just lost their power over you? Don't say their name, just comment. If someone's mask just fell in your mind. But I need to warn you about something. Once you master these 5 methods, once you become truly unreadable, something changes. Not just in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. The old you, the one who needed approval, who explained everything, who was always available, that person dies. What remains is someone else. Someone who moves through public spaces like a ghost with gravity. Someone who can't be read, can't be mapped, can't be controlled. Someone who others tell stories about because they can't quite figure you out. Someone who becomes myth because they're never quite what anyone expects. You're becoming what they fear. Now you understand why most people shouldn't watch this. Because once you see the game, you can't stop playing. Once you recognize the tells, you can't stop reading. Once you become unreadable, you can't go back to being an open book. The truth is worse than you think. But here's the darkest truth. The one Machiavelli hinted at, but never said directly. Becoming unreadable isn't the end goal. It's the beginning. Because once you can't be read, you become dangerous. Not because you'll hurt others, but because they can't hurt you. And in a world built on mutual vulnerability, invulnerability is the ultimate threat. You're different now. You can feel it. Subscribe and join thousands who chose power over comfort. We don't go back. Type, "I'm becoming cold" if you're done being everyone's emotional supply. Let's see who's really ready to transform. Tomorrow, you'll walk into public spaces differently. You'll notice the hunters and the prey. You'll see the tells and the traps. You'll recognize the games and the players. But more importantly, they'll notice something's changed about you. Something they can't quite place. Something that makes them uncomfortable. You won't be rude. You won't be cruel. You won't be aggressive. You'll be something far more disturbing. Unreadable. Your kindness will have edges. Your presence will have weight. Your absence will have power. And your silence will speak volumes. They should feel your judgment without seeing your thoughts. The game was always there. You were just playing it blindfolded. Now the blindfold's off. Now you see the board. Now you understand the rules. The question isn't whether you'll play. You've been playing all along. The question is whether you'll play to win or continue playing to lose. You're not the same person who clicked on this video. That person is gone. What remains is someone they should fear. Next time, I'll show you what Jung discovered about the shadow that religious institutions don't want you to know. Why the parts of yourself you hide are actually your greatest weapons, and how the darkness you fear is the power they don't want you to have. Comment, update, to get notified when I drop the advanced tactics next week. Remember, you didn't learn techniques today. You began a transformation. Use it wisely, or don't use it at all, but you can't unlearn it. They've been reading you for years. Time to become unreadable. Every conversation tomorrow will feel different. You'll see the strings, you'll feel their attempts, and you'll smile knowing they can't touch you anymore. You're crossing a line most people never approach. Welcome to the game you've always been playing. Now you just know the rules.